All right, let's have a look at this question. They have given us an incomplete floor plan, which means that we need to draw in walls, we need to draw in the windows, we need to draw in the doors. All right? It says that they have given you a door frame schedule, in other words, the sizes of the doors, the door frames that need to go in there. And then they have given us a window and door schedule, in other words, the sizes of the windows and doors that need to be used on this thing. They've given us a starting point P on the answer sheet. Okay, so if we look at this answer sheet, there's the starting point P, and if we start there and use these measurements, we should be able to get that in onto our drawing. It says over here, the instructions: answer the question on the answer sheet provided. Use the given information to draw to a scale 1:30. All right, so in other words, all of these measurements that you are seeing here, every single one of these needs to be scaled to a scale 1:30. What are you going to do? You're going to use your God-given brain and not try and divide by 30 on your own. You are going to give that thing a little tickle. It's called a calculator. You take that out and you go through every single one of these things. Let me show you how to do one of them. 2,000 divided by 30 is equal to, and then we have 66.6. Okay, everybody seeing that idea? And we're going to go through every single one of those measurements and convert it to a scale 1:30. All right, you can see over here, although we don't need the height of these windows and doors, but I'd like to put that in onto this drawing. How do I work out what that height is? Now, all of these drawings that we've got over here are actually drawn to a scale. What we need to do is to figure out what that scale is. They say that this measurement from there to there is 2,000. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get a measurement off that window, and I get a measurement of 31 millimeters on that window. I then take my calculator and I say 2,000 divided by 31 is equal to, and I'll get a scale of 64, okay? 64 or 65, okay? So what I can do then is I can now come back over here. I'm going to measure this over here, and I get a measurement of 24 millimeters or 23 millimeters. So I can say that 23 millimeters multiplied by that 64, and that will give me that height. So I can then say 60, the answer 64.5 multiplied by the 23 is equal to, and that will give me a measurement. It says 1483 millimeters. So I can come in here and I can put that dimension in 1483 millimeters in the dimension there. I would obviously then need to scale that to put that into a drawing. When we get to what we do call elevation views, that would be important. For now, we just need those dimensions at the top here, and you don't need to worry about doing that, but I thought I'd better just show you how to calculate the scale. All right, we're going to go and start drawing the walls for this little art studio. You'll see that I've added those two measurements at the top there, and I get a measurement of 264.6, which is the scaled measurement on my drawing. I'm going to draw a construction line coming out from this point P over here. Just a construction line coming out over there, and I'm going to measure off that distance, 264.6. Okay, over here, because it's such a long measurement, I'm just going to measure with this ruler. I don't often measure with a ruler, but in this case it's important. Right, when you are measuring on a ruler, you are going to make a little arrow. Okay, so 264.6, and I make a little arrow at that mark. Okay, don't just put a dot. If you put an arrow, you'll find you get rid of the error of parallax. Once I've got that, I'm going to draw a line going up to the top of the page over there, and I can then take this measurement over here, which is 194.6, and I use my ruler again to measure that off because it's such a long. So 194.6, little arrow over there, and I'm now going to draw a line coming across over here like that. And I can draw a line coming up to the top like that. Right, next step is to know what size your walls are. Okay, they tell you in the question over here that they have got outside walls of 220 millimeters in thickness. Okay, so I need to take my 220 millimeters divided by 30. Okay, so 220 divided by 30 is equal to, and that gives me 7.3. So the thickness of the walls is 7.3 3 millimeters. Okay. Let's just see. It says that the internal wall is going to be 110. So 110 divided by 30 is equal to, and that is 3.6 millimeters. Okay. Once I've got those measurements, I can then start drawing these walls. And I'm going to start out, obviously, I've got these external walls, and I need to measure off a distance of, we said 7.3. Okay, so 7.3, I'm going to get a pair of dividers quickly and measure off that 7.3 millimeters. 7.3 on my dividers coming in. Okay, 7.3 millimeters. I'm going to come in over here. I measure it once, just once. And after I've got that measurement, I then take my set square, my 45-degree set square, and I'm going to draw in some construction lines. Going at 45 over there, going at 45 over there, go up to that corner at the top over there, 45 over there, go up to the top over there, 45 over there. I now take a line coming across. This is all done in construction lines, coming across there, going up to the top there, going up to the top there, and going across over here, giving me that wall thickness that I need. Right, once I've done that, I then come back to this drawing and I start measuring off where these windows are going to be. This says 55.6. Measure with my pair of dividers, 55.6. Okay, so take that, obviously measuring from the external wall on the outside to that point, and I'm going to draw in a line coming out over there. I then look and it says that I've got window number 2. All right, once I've got that mark over there, what I need to do is I need to measure off the size of the window. It says that I've got window 2 in there. There is the dimension for window 2, and it is 36.6 millimeters. So I'm going to take 36.6 millimeters in here, measure that off over there, mark that off, and draw a little construction line going out there. I then see that this measurement over here is 47.8 to this next window, 47.8. Right, take that, measure that off from the external wall to that point over there, draw in a line coming up over here, and I'm going to take that same measurement of that window, that's that measurement over there, measure that in from there to there, and draw in that line over there. Right, all construction lines. Over here it says 1920, that's 64 millimeters. Take that 64 millimeters, 64 millimeters, knock that in over there from the external wall, and draw a line coming out over there. Once I've got that, it says it's window 1. So I look at that, and 66.6 millimeters, 66.6 millimeters. Take that, knock that in over here, and draw in a construction line at that point over there. There's window 1. I need to measure across over here, this 105, so 105, there we go. And I need to measure that from the external wall out to that point over there. Draw in a construction line over here. Okay, it says that it's door 1. Door 1 is this 30 over here, so I'm going to measure 30 millimeters. Knock that in over here, draw in a line going out over there. Right, once I've got that, I need to measure 31.4 over there. There we go, 31.4, measuring from that corner over there, coming across, 31.4 over there. It says that it is window 1, so I need to take the 66 point, which was this measurement over here. Going to do that. Measure that onto the drawing. There's window 1, 66.6. Right, any other windows? That's everything done there. Right, once I've done that, I'm going to then start out by drawing some lines in dark. Okay, you can actually physically start drawing some lines in dark. And I'm also going to just do a construction line on the outside of this thing. The windowsill, okay, is going to be 50 millimeters in real life. So you say 50 divided by the 30, which is 1.6 millimeters. So on the outside of this thing, I'm going to start drawing a 1.6 millimeter gap around this thing. Okay, let's just get that a little bit more accurate. 1.6, which is about 2 millimeters. That's pretty much spot on. Okay, I'm going to come in over here, draw in a line going around this thing. There we go. And I don't have any windows on this side. Yes, I do. Sorry. I can draw in from that 45-degree line that I've got there, coming across over there. And from that, I can then start drawing some dark lines as to where the windowsills are going to be, and we can draw in our windows quite quickly. Here we go. I'm going to come into this windowsill over here. I'm going to draw that in. I'm going to come to this windowsill over here, and I'm going to draw that in. I'm going to go to this windowsill up here. There. Right. There's all the windowsills done. After I've done that, I'm going to draw lines going back over here, back over there, back over here, there, over there, all the way to the internal wall. Keep going. Over here. Over here. Right, there's the windows done. I need to draw in where the door is. Nice dark line there. Nice dark line there. Right, once I've got that, I'm now going to draw in the external walls going around this thing. You can draw across that door, up to that window frame, to the corner of the wall, up to the top over here, up to the top over here. There we go, up to the window frame, the windowsill, down to the corner of the wall, across to the window frame over here, across to that window frame over there, and across to the corner of the wall. Right, there's the external wall, basically completed. I can now start looking at the internal wall, but before we do that, I need to draw in the internal walls on this drawing. Continuing over here, what I'm going to do before I draw anything more, I'm going to get these internal walls in. I'm going to measure off this 67.3 millimeters over there. 67.3, that's that. Come into the outside wall over there, measure that off to that point over there. And I'm going to then draw in a construction line coming across over here. Just a construction line to start with. And once I've got that, I'm going to measure off this 106.6 millimeters. 106.6, that's over there. And I'm going to measure from the external wall over there. Sorry, over there, from that to that. Mark that off. I'm going to draw a construction line coming down over there with my set square. Just take that down over here. Nice construction line coming down over there. Right, once I've got that in place, I need to measure off 94 millimeters going up over there. Measuring 94 millimeters going up from that point over there. Sorry, outside wall to there. That's 94 millimeters to that point over there. And I need to measure off 30.3 millimeters from the outside wall. 30.3 millimeters from the outside wall over there to there. Mark that off. Now, the next thing that we need to do is to take my circle stencil. If you look at it, they say that the internal wall has a width of 110 millimeters. That divided by your scale of 30 gives me 3.6, which is close enough to 4 millimeters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4 millimeter circle stencil over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, there we go. I place that onto that little construction line over there. I do a little arc on that side, a little arc on that side. I come in over here, same story, place it on the construction line that I drew, make a little arc and a little arc. I can now draw in some construction lines going up over here. There we go. There we go. That gives me the width of the walls. There we go. There we go. Right, once I've got that in place, I need to just draw in a construction line there, a construction line there. And once I've done that, I can then really get going and draw in all the lines that I need to draw in all these walls, etc. Right, going from that corner over there, across to there, stop at that point, continue all the way across to that corner over there, going up over here to that corner over there, and going down to that corner over there. Right, coming over here, let's go up to there. Let's just take this across. I'm going from there all the way across. Sorry, I just messed up there. Went across the part that I don't want to go across, darn it. Right, just need to erase that little part in there quickly. Just erase that very quickly. Go. Right, continue by drawing a line up to that corner over there. Continue from there all the way across to that corner over there. Okay, once we've got that, I then draw in a wall, going from there to there, going from there to there. This goes a little line over there, line coming down over here, line coming down over here. Okay, and I can draw in a line coming across from there to there, line coming across from there to there, and I have got the spaces for the doors to go in there. Okay, once we've got that, I can then draw in this line as well. And there we go, all the walls are done, and I can now start doing the hatching on these walls. Let's just have a look-see. I'm going to do the hatching quickly, and then you can see how that's done. So little line, little space, big space, small space, big space, small space, big space, small space, big space, small space. Okay, and you continue doing that. I'm going to stop the video, and then you'll see all the hatching done. Right, when you're doing this hatching, I want you to note what I'm doing. Go over there, draw in, go all the way up there, move it, draw in, go all the way through, and don't miss out things. There's the big space, there, there, and there. Move it, there, there, and there. Move it. It's just on that wall over there, there, there. Move it, there, there, and there. All right, so you're not hatching individual walls, you're hatching all at the same time. Right, just finishing off over here. And the marathon of doing the hatching. Right, so I'm going to finish off the windows now. What we need to do is to draw the window frame on the midpoint of this wall, okay? Not in the midpoint of the windowsill in the wall. I need to find the midpoint of the wall. So I go to the corner of that wall, I draw a construction line like that. I go to the corner of the wall, I draw a construction line like that, giving me the midpoint of the wall over here. Once I've got that in place, it is a 50 millimeter little window frame in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 2 millimeter circle, and you do a little arc on that side, little arc on that side, and you can now draw in two lines coming across over here, line coming across over there, and a line coming across over there, giving me that window frame inside the wall. Note it is in the center of the wall, not in the center of the wall and the windowsill over there. Right, we need to do that with all of these windows over here. Note over here, I have that 45-degree line over there. I'm going to take that line that I had, the windowsill line over there. I'm going to take that out. Construction line coming out, touches the 45-degree line that I had from the window over there. I take that out over here, all the way out there. I take that up over here, and I can straight away draw in from that intersection of that 45-degree line, take that up over there, draw in a line, slide it across, draw in a line. Take that up over here to this 45. Take that up to that 45 line over there. Construction line going up to that 45 over there. Take this across into this drawing over here. Sorry, I've just got a glitch in the system. There we go. Up to there. Taking that across over there. And I can then draw in a line coming across over here. A line coming across over here. Take that to that 45 over there. Draw in a line over there. Draw in a line over there. And your windows are then done. All right, that was quick and easy. Note those little 45-degree angles that we started with right at the beginning are going to help you to get those measurements across much more quickly than having to measure and measure and measure and measure. Right, once I've got that in place, I need to do the door frames. Okay, the door frames are a little bit difficult because they're so small. Okay, it says over here that the external doors, they're going to be these metal door frames over here. And it says that it's 262, which measures out at 8.7 millimeters. Right, so what do I need? Well, I need the center line. Now I've already found that center line over there. I'm going to bring that across over here. And it says it's 8.7, which is basically a 9 millimeter gap that I need. I take my circle stencil with the 9 millimeter gap, and I'm going to just draw a little arc on that side, a little arc on that side. That gives me that little space on either side of this thing, which I'm able to draw out. Now, if you look over here, this distance over here is approximately 1 millimeter sticking out. So a 1 millimeter gap over there, a 1 millimeter gap over here. You're going to need to do a little bit of rubbing out of these lines in here. Just rub out a little bit that inside over there. Same story on this side, just rub those lines out over there. You can just draw in that line, a 1 millimeter gap on either side of that. There we go, going there, there. Move it across, little line in there, little line in there. Coming across, little line coming across over there. I can then draw in this little story. It is very, very small. You can almost see that I'm doing like almost a freehand sort of idea. Coming in over here. There we go. Little freehandy sort of thing going across there. Not freehand, using my instruments. All right. This line on the inside over here, please erase that. Okay, you do not need that line over there. So you erase that little line over there. And you can see my little door frame happening in over here. There we go. Making sure that you've got a big enough gap for the door to swing into. All right, there we go. There we go. It's a very small little gap. Doors are always swinging to the inside of the house. You never have doors swinging outside. All right. Reason being is that if it snowed, which it happens in this country so often, if it snowed and there was a whole pile of snow, you couldn't get out of your home. You always want to be open the door inwards so that you don't get trapped inside. Right, I'm going to take my pair of compasses, place it where the hinge is over there, extend that out, okay? And you are going to draw an arc coming around from the door frame over there. We did door frames just the other day. If you want to just go and revise that, I would suggest that you do that very strongly. Drawing a line coming down over there to where the hinge is, a little line coming across over there, and a little line going up to the top over there, and finish it off with this. Right, you've got two internal door frames that need to be done. The internal door frames are going to be these wooden guys, and it says that this distance is 4.4 millimeters. Now you've got that center line over there, so I'm going to go for the 5 millimeter circle stencil over here. Let's just knock that in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's that one that I'm needing. There we go. And I'm just going to draw a little arc on that side, little arc on that side, just to give myself something to play with. Draw a little line coming down over there, little line coming down over here, little line coming across just in there, little line going up over here, and a little line coming across. You'll note that I really spent a lot of time getting those measurements exact. Okay, did you see how much measuring I did? No, I was not measuring at all, because I'm now literally just drawing these gaps over here. They are so small that to try and measure them is a bit silly. So please don't. Just get the thing in place so that it is working for you and it looks more or less the same as that little door frame. Note this little gap over here should be it should be about a 2 millimeter gap, which is more or less what I've got over here. And I can now take my pair of compasses again. You're going to go to the hinge over there. Note where the hinge is. It's not on the inside of that door, it's on that outside part over there. You're going to swing the door towards the wall, okay? Oh, sorry. Let's just rub that out. I didn't set that to the right measurements. Okay, these internal doors, they get made to size, all right? They get made to size, so make sure that you just extend that out to the size of that door over there, and you're going to wind that round. There it is, to there. And then I'm going to draw in a line coming across over here to that point. Draw in a little line coming down like that. That's about 2 millimeter gap, 1 millimeter going up over there. Sorry, 1 millimeter gap. Or just over, yeah, it's about 2 millimeters. Sorry, 2 millimeter gap for that door story. You're going to do the same story over here. A quick little door story over here. There we go. There we go. Draw that in there. Draw that in there. Drop that down in there. Drop that down in there. Take that across. Take that across. Finish it off over there. Finish it off over there. Take your pair of compasses. Place it over there. Sorry, we said that we always swing towards the wall. So I'm going to extend that to that distance over there. Arc it round. Just over here. Nice dark line coming around. Draw in a line going up to that arc. Slide it across. Draw in a line coming up to that arc and finish it off over here. You'll note that the one door is slightly bigger than the other, and that is cool too. Right, there we go. That is that drawing completed to that point. Right, so I'm just going to put in these room designations. It says workroom and tiles, storeroom and rubber floor, and bathroom and tiles. I'm going to just do this one for you, and then so use the little lines on the ruler over there just to get that gap. Leave a little space and get that little gap again so that you've got some construction lines. Please use the construction lines, and you write in there workroom, W-O-R-O-R-K, room, that's one word. Well, no, it's 2 words, sorry. Room, R-O-O-M. Okay, and then drop down and note the little gap over there, and then you put in tiles over here, T-I-L-S. Okay, and then you, E-S, sorry, E-S. E-S, please do it a bit more neatly than I'm doing it. And then you do the same thing over here. You're going to draw in some construction lines for the writing. Make a little gap. Go up again. Make the line over there. Go up here. Do the construction line. A construction line. Leave a little gap. Construction line. Go up and do another little line. And then you can have those lines, they're construction lines, and you write in those labels of bathroom tiles and storeroom with studded rubber flooring. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the north point. You can see that they've got a north point. Now use the same sort of dimensions as they've got there. Let's just find out what circle that is. They've got I think a 14 millimeter circle. You can pop that in over there and you just draw in a nice center lines first. That would be a really good start. So just drawing a line there, just a construction line. Take the 14 millimeter circle, pop that in over here. And you can then draw in a line, a circle going around there, go to the middle of it, and you're going to draw in a line going from there to there, and you're going to draw in a line going from there to there, and then you're going to take your 45-degree set square, and you draw in a line going from there to there, and a line going from there to there. Right, there's the north point done. It says over here that we should insert 2 major dimensions on the floor plan. Okay, major dimensions, that's the length and the width of this thing. So to do that, I'm going to go up to the top over here and I'm going to take my 0.3 pencil. I draw a line coming down and I leave a gap of 1 millimeter over there between the wall and it. Go across over here, draw a line coming down, leaving that gap of 1 millimeter over there. Take my ruler, take it up to the top over here, draw a line about 10 millimeters away from the wall over there, line going from there all the way across there. This is all done with a 0.3 and it's done dark. You are going to then take your 45-degree set square and you're going to make a little dash of about 4 millimeters and another little dash of about 4 millimeters over there. You then go to the center over here. You're going to draw in 2 construction lines. Construction line, lift it up about 3 millimeters, another construction line, and then you are going to write in what that major dimension is. So you've got 4740 plus 3200, and I want to see that calculation done. I want you to add that up correctly and put that in. All right, I'm going to put this dimension in. It's much easier because they gave it to me. A little line coming out over here, giving that 1 millimeter gap between it, so that little extension line. There we go, another little extension line. They're done with 0.3 pencils. About 10 millimeters away from the drawing. Draw in a line going all the way from there to there. Take your 45-degree set square and again draw in a little slash going across there, about 4 millimeters, and a little slash going across there, about 4 millimeters. Come in over here. You are going to write the dimension on this side of the line, okay? So you draw a little construction line there, a little construction line there. Note it's on the left-hand side of the line, very, very important. And you're going to write in their dimension over here, which was 5840. Go to the middle, 5, 8, note how I do an 8, 4, 0. There we go, there's the dimension. The last thing that we need to do is to do the total area and the outside perimeter of the floor plan. Okay, so step number 1, you've got these 2 measurements over here, which we need to convert to meters. They are in millimeters on the drawing. So to convert to meters, what do? I take the measurement, that's 7940 millimeters, divided by 1,000 millimeters per meter, and obviously the millimeters are going to cancel out, and I'm going to end up with meters as my unit. Same story with the breadth of it, the 5840 divided by 1,000 millimeters per meter. I end up with meters as my unit, and I get 5.84 meters. Okay, I then need to look at the area. The area is length times breadth. I say that's equal to 7.94 meters multiplied by 5.84 meters. I forgot to put that little point in there. All right, make sure that you put that point in. At the end of the day, meters times meters is going to give me square meters. So I have 46.37 meters squared. The next thing, to get the perimeter, you can see it's a rectangle. So I have 2 lengths the same and 2 lengths the same. So I say 2 times the length times plus 2 times the breadth. I say 2 multiplied by 7.94 meters plus 2 times 5.94 meters. Note it's in brackets, meters plus meters. I'm going to end up with meters as a unit. Add those two, and you'll end up with 27.48 meters. And that is that drawing completed.